I think that's purposeful because he going die.
Oh, thank you.
Question is a writer too. Saw the men of the old island. Hey, good morning. Today, the only goal that I have is to finish this book. I did finish the first volume of Attack on Titan last night too.
For our Authortube Chat book club pick of the month, or the 2 months.
Why do I say that wrong every time?
We are reading Truthwitch by Susan Dennard, with a very cool map.
I actually don't know a lot about this book, but I do know Jessica, my Authortube Chat co-host, loves Susan Dennard. And admittedly, I love Susan Dennard's writing advice. Her newsletter is one of the few that I read in full. One of the few that I actually like open up and click on in my inbox too. So, let's get started.
Everything had gone horribly wrong.
Oh no, she's gonna overtake Duke. No! Oh, there he is. For those of you who haven't heard of Truthwitch, on the back of the book cover it says, on a continent ruled by 3 empires, some are born with a witchery, a magic skill that sets them apart from others. In the Witchlands, there are almost as many types of magic as there are ways to get in trouble, as 2 desperate young women know all too well. Sophia is a truth witch, able to discern truth from lie. It's a powerful magic that many would kill to have on their side, especially amongst the nobility to which Sophie was born. So Sophie must keep her gift hidden lest she be used as a pawn in the struggle between empires. Isolde, a thread witch, can see the invisible ties that bind and entangle the lives around her, but she cannot see the bonds that touch her own heart. Her unlikely friendship with Sophie has taken her from life as an outcast to one of reckless adventure, where she is a cool, wary balance to Sophia's hot-headed impulsiveness. Sophia and Isolde just want to be free to live their own lives, but war is coming to the Witchlands. With the help of the cunning Prince Merrick, a wind witch and ship's captain, and the hindrance of a blood witch bent on revenge, the friends must fight emperors, princes, and mercenaries alike who will stop at nothing to get their hands on a truth witch. Well, I'm in it. I'm in it already. Wow. First off, holy crap. Like, okay, let me say that this is one of the examples of why I often prefer young adult fantasy over adult fantasy, because young adult has more of a focus on characters, I find, and we're often thrown into the middle of this situation, like immediately to grab our attention rather than like all this world building at the front. There's a lot of world building here, I should say, but it's weaved into the story so well that it doesn't feel gross. That it doesn't feel like I'm spending 30 minutes trying to figure out the world and then we're gonna get into the story. You know what I mean? It's good. I like the dynamic between our 2 main characters so far. I think they have distinct personalities and we're learning a little bit more of the reason why. And we've already set up some tension, so it's one of those really cool things where you understand immediately why they're on the run / in hiding kind of thing, but we're still kind of peeling back the layers. And we've yet to find exactly what I think, you know, the plot will be, but like it gives us hints. So anyways, it's good. It's good. Wow. Okay. Yay! All right, I finished my summer writing routine reset video. It is ready to be uploaded to YouTube. So we're going to be multitasking this ever so slightly, but I got to a point that I wanted to highlight in this book because, oh my gosh. For as Matthew always said, with your right hand give a person what he expects, and with your left hand cut his purse. Sophie always played the distracting right hand and she was good at it, while Isolde lurked in the shadows, ready to claim whatever purse needed cutting. Yes, so those 2 together, the dynamic, if I wasn't already in it on page 36, even though I am, you know, that would have sold me. Select files, a really long one. It's so long, it's a 38-minute video. Someone stop me. Good thing I have a really good book to read. 57 minutes left. Well, I switched my Wi-Fi, so now this really only took like 20 minutes, if that. So I'm gonna fill this in and then I'm gonna get back to the reading. I am on chapter 4 now. 4. And I am still loving it. Yay, scheduled. I'll need to put some more stuff in later, but hooray! Really, it's just time to get more coffee and get back to the book. So the back cover hints at there being like a shit ton of witches, right? And all different powers, but they're not joking. Like we've had
truth witches. We talked about a wind witch on the back, I think. There's a thread witch. There's also an earth witch. And then there's also a soil witch. Like, there's a lot of witches. And then, hold on, witch mark, a circle for Aether, and a dash line them, and he specialized in art. Anyways, from a world building perspective, it is really interesting to just have truly this level. I think that's really cool. I continue to be excited. Duke likes it better outside.
Not bad. No, you don't get to have any of my sandwich. What do you think, bud? Yeah. No. So cute. So it is time to go and return this to the library. Starbucks is also doing its happy hour for the first time in forever, so when I'm on my way to San Antonio, I'm gonna pick up the BOGO, and I need to check my P.O. box. Yes, okay. That's the plan. Duke, you ready to come inside? Good job, buddy. I'm so sorry for this clear and utter betrayal, you adorable puppy dog. Holy shit, it's hot. Excuse me, puppy. Oh, okay. Hi. Oh, thank you. Did you just lick my camera? Hi. I know it's been 2 whole days. Oh my god, the horror. Yeah. Good job, buddy. Yeah, good job. Oh, too dark. All right, I read pretty late last night. Duke's here, we just got back from a walk. I need to publish a personal essay and I need to put the timestamps on my other video that's gonna go up today. So we're gonna do that and then we're gonna get back to the reading. I was trying to find some stock images for what I wanted and then I decided that I could just take the picture myself, so. Let's see if any of those worked. So many floss options to choose from. The story is published! Woo! Yay! Save! Whoops. I also put up my clothes and put some stuff in the wash and did a little bit of other stuff, but it started sort of raining outside, which I know you can't tell because it's very sunny, but it's also raining. So Duke is gonna get back settled in, and I am gonna read. I did put a few dog ears on some things that I thought were fun. So this one was because start of chapter 10, observing like a raptor. Observing like a raptor is usually just like a bird of prey, but when I think of raptor, because I just think of dinosaurs, so it made me pause because it always goes back to, in fantasy, you know, we have made up places, some made up food. There's an interesting question of where the line needs to be drawn that I've always loved as a conversation, and just like a question as a writer too. It's like, how much new stuff can I introduce so that it won't overwhelm the reader and makes it feel like it's its own like unique world, while also being like Earth enough so that it's not bogging down, you know, the prose or anything. So. And then in italics, stasis in your fingertips and in your toes. It's really fun to read Isolt's chapter. Isolt. I just need to look up how to pronounce this name. In my head, it reads really pretty, but then when my mouth tries to say it out loud, it doesn't work. So she's trying to like control her emotions. Being a thread witch, that's just what you do. But I really like this as the reminder that she puts through her head, because when I was younger, I used to get really bad migraines. I would get sick. I was also very shy, so then I'd get sick in class and I'd go and throw up, and then it was terrible because it was attention on me and all this stuff. So much of that pain at a certain point was I would just be anxious all the time about stuff, even when I wasn't getting a migraine. And so I would just write breathe out on my page and take as long as I could to like write it out and just kind of in cursive, slowly do it, and then just breathe and like remind myself of that. So I like stasis. Stasis in your fingertips and in your toes. Yeah, okay.
Where am I at? Where did I stop at? This is a good question. I was reading last night. I had a hard time putting the book down, honestly.
And just in case it's not clear, I'm loving this book. It is very fun. I'm just enjoying the reading. Like, I feel like I'm on an adventure with them. And that's what I want from my books.
I'm on page 177, chapter 17, but I actually wanted to make a note on this last page. There were swords within easy reach and a contract that said she couldn't spill any blood.
I love this sort of like antagonistic relationship at the beginning where the reader knows they're not really antagonistic. Love it. I love it so much. Okay. This is so fun. The uncle who we know was in on it and sent Sophia off. We get to see him now acting as if he doesn't know anything and acting the same kind of fool that Sophia kind of thought of him. Not even fool, just like drunkard and like everything else. So it's just so fun how much we, the reader, know more so than the characters. I think Susan Dennard is pulling it off really well. The question I have is, are we about to find out how much Prince Leopold knows? Because I'm convinced Polly knows something, and I want to know what Polly knows. For the record, Duke's just chilling. Yay! Oh, thank you, Wind.
All right, they're posting about the reading rush, so I'm gonna watch that while I make some Rice Krispie treats.
Do you know what? Somebody else would have had it in 12 groceries.
Yay! Rice Krispies is that dessert that like I inexplicably love. Gosh.
I gotta get back to the adorably panting dog. Is this seems dangerous, but
I can do it. I can do it.
I can do it, I can do it, I can do it. Oh, I did it! Yay! Are you proud of me, Duke?
You just think I'm an idiot, huh? I already ate a lot of it.
Oh, thank you, Wind. I think I needed another chapter over.
Perfect.
Go! Go! I was multitasking my work. But go! So I took a work break and then I was doing a puzzle and watching What We Do in the Shadows, the TV show. Then I played with Duke outside where we saw a lizard.
But I got to this part where we're singing a song because they're on a ship. Of course, these pirates, they're not pirates. They oppose piracy. You know, this navy has their songs. And so I always like to sing them out loud when there are song lyrics like this. And I always wonder if we would have the same beat and like cadence.
9 days of a sea fox chasing, 9 days of tooth and fin, 9 days of jaws a snapping, saw the men of the old Aylin.
Hey!
Duke is happy to have been spared that.
No! It's so close to the book. No, why? Look at this spider. How dare you, sir? How dare you? No. Ugh.
All right, grabbing Truthwitch from when I was reading it last night. I'm on page 245 now.
I need to water the trees, which I got to set a timer for, so this is also going to be like timed reading. How fun. The pressure will be on.
Feels no pressure. No pressure at all. What it is. Duke also had another little accident, so. All right. Oh, can I do this with my camera? This is dangerous. I really shouldn't have. Yay! 8 minutes of reading. Go! Woo. Oh.
On to the next tree. This one's smaller, so we do a 5-minute timer.
Yes, sir. Good job, bud.
It is now Saturday evening. I have some wine, an adorably panting dog since we just went on a walk, part of a donut left, and it is time to finish this book. Is this where I was? Yeah. Oh yeah. With Cullen doubled over. He's gonna die, right? I mean, ever since we were introduced to him, I think we've only had a single scene, his first scene, where there wasn't some allusion to him being like, are you okay? Is everything okay? Are you doing good? Like, we're worried about him all the time. He's very powerful, but like, this dude's gonna die, isn't he? How soon is it gonna happen? That's really the question, I think. I just had to read a little bit more. Cullen's deathly pallor. Yeah, dude's gone. He's dead. This is it. Right before Isolde's eyes, Sophie's threads were changing from those that build into those that bind. One of the things that I've admittedly loved about this book is how it just throws you into the world building. Like, where you're just gonna run with it and you're either gonna figure it out or you're not gonna figure it out, right? So there's this hard part where I'm like, I can't tell if I, the reader, am a dummy and I missed something, or if it's genuinely because it's just like occasionally hard to follow. Anyways, the point is, I don't think I understand the difference between threads that build versus threads that bind. Are they... Yeah, I don't know. Also, yeah, Cullen's not dead yet, but I think this is a psych out. He's gonna die. There's just too much about him being sick, like, or his lungs not working or whatever. There's just too much for it to be like a throwaway, oh, he almost died kind of thing. Like, I don't think she's gonna take that route. I think she's really gonna kill him. In fact, I would be disappointed if she didn't, which is sad because, you know, he could be a cool character. That's the other thing. We're not really learning a lot about him. Like, we are seeing that Merrick and Cullen are supposed to have a similar relationship as Sophie and Isolde, and we're seeing the girl who loves Cullen and that he loves her. There's a lot of connections that were being shown, but I'm not feeling the connections. I think that's purposeful because he gonna die. So, okay. Let's go. Geez, now we have poison witches and iron witches too. Add those. I'm having Game of Thrones flashbacks. I, who am the Empress of the Flame Children, the chosen daughter of the Firewell, the most worship of the Marstocks. I, who am the destroyer of Kendora Pass. What's up with all the titles? The many named people. So many titles. So much self-congratulations. All right, look here, Polly. I don't know if Polly's gonna end up being a bad guy or not. Regardless, I love him. I also really like Aiden. I know he's supposed to be the bad guy. I mean, he's the one mentioned on the back of the book with the Blood Witch being bent on revenge and whatever. I don't believe you. We're painting him out as too sweet, ultimately, like in a good way. Like, we're giving him layers and it's very interesting, and he's not really sweet. But as far as a villain character is supposed to go, I really don't think he's gonna be a villain in the grand scheme of probably the series, because I can't imagine, since I know it's like 4 books now or something. But that's one of the things I also love about books like this, especially when there's so many realms and countries involved, there's a vastness. I love when there's not so obvious an evil person. Everyone wants something for themselves. That's the kind of motivation I can get behind, so I'm liking it. Still can't really tell where Polly's gonna fall in the grand scheme, but I am a fan. 28. I'm so tired. I finished my wine. It's not even that late. It's 9:56. But we have approached one of the tropes that I want to hate it. I want to hate it, but I don't hate it. And that's when two characters who like each other but haven't admitted it yet, you know, where they fall on top of each other. And it's like, oh my gosh, oh no, blah, blah, blah. Bonus points for if they're both kind of annoyed, which is what's happening here. I want to hate it. I don't hate it. Give it to me. This is great. I think I'm gonna stop at page 300. So I'll have just just over 100 pages left for tomorrow. He growled, get off me. I don't believe you. Chapter 30. My Padre isn't here, but I am celebrating his Padre Day with the mug I got him. Duke's over there. And we got some hummingbirds up in the tree. I'll see if I can manage to catch them.
We'd been building up to this for ages. It finally happened, and of course, they are pulled away at the last moment. It always has to happen, doesn't it? This is how you know we're getting close to the end. So page 364. The left hand trusts the right, Matthew always said. The left hand never looks back until after the purse is grabbed. Isolde had always been the left hand. She's always trusted Safi to distract until the end, which meant it was Safi's turn to do the same. The roles have reversed! And just in time, too. We have like 50 pages left. I'm gonna take a moment real quick. Page 372. To point out the action. I think Susan Dennard is really great at using like the best possible verb. It's a weird compliment, but like the best possible verb in this instance to keep you in the action and it like flowing really well still, each sentence, like you're gripped. There's only been a few occasions, and I think I marked them earlier in the book, where it's like a word was repeated really close to another word, which is a personal pet peeve of mine that I try and help when I'm reading for other people. But like the actual action, she's really good at. This is like, you know, heart thumping, like you're in it, you're in it, you're in it. So anyways. I have so many thoughts. So does Duke. So let me start off by saying what a fun read this is. I'm sad that, hold on, let's see. There it is. I have the receipt from when I first bought this book when I was on my road trip in Bloomington, Minnesota, which I don't know that y'all can see very well, but you can just trust me. A week after my birthday in 2018, 07/21/2018. I'm sorry it took me this long to read it. And I ended up dog-earing a lot of pages at the end because I was so in it, I didn't want to stop and talk about things, but I did have a couple of just like comments to make. This is fun, and the way that like Indiana Jones is fun, right? Which is really, when I think of like the action adventure books I want, this is what I want. It was great, and I had a blast reading it. You speed through it. I'm going to read the next one. I think I already have the next one, so I'm really excited. Let me say that, because I'm about to give some criticism. And I want to say that ultimately the criticism really doesn't matter because I had so much fun reading it. We get to the end and there's stuff about adders. I forgot what an adder was. Like, there were just so many things about them. They were Marstocky adders, and then they were cleaving, and so that was interesting. I'm pretty sure that Aduin's dad is gonna be the thing that the puppeteer, like that's who she's reporting to. We don't really get on that in this book. I will also say that Isolde was my favorite of the two girls because her background's really interesting. It's not what is driving the story in this book, but I can see how it's going to drive it in the next ones. There's some prophecies. It's really interesting because there's a lot of fantasy tropes in here that I normally don't really like, but it was just so fun that I don't care, that I still like it. Isolde did bother me at the end because she had killed them by being weak, like taking all the fault on her own when it didn't even sell it that well. During it, like Isolde was with the puppeteer, there was no way that she could get her out of her head. Like there's not anything that we saw proof that Isolde could do anything about it. And then Isolde stayed in the world with the puppeteer in order to gather information. But again, we never saw proof that Isolde could like remove herself from the situation very well. So it didn't, her being weak, like it just, I don't know. The characters are gonna feel guilty and that's what's gonna propel us forward, and they're gonna have to deal with that in the next book. But I was just like, come on. Oh yeah, this part with Aiden, Veruta. I mean, I'm pronouncing a made-up language, but Aiden and Isolde are really interesting. I do really like Aiden as a character, but I feel like him knowing a particular phrase and the reader not knowing really was just a perfect example of, I think, arguably the biggest problem I had with this book, which again, is not going to stop me from reading the next one. But the biggest problem is that the world is so huge that we often don't find stuff out about things until the moment it needs to happen. And so the tension in some ways was a little bit funny to me there. Not that it felt too perfect. I don't know. I think you need to set reader expectations and like
the new information always coming in right at the moment that it's needed made it hard to like, I don't know. With a world this vast and huge, I don't know what the solution for it is, but it is something that bothers me. It makes me disengage more than I want to, I guess. I think there is like this sweet middle ground between having this vast world and like not saying everything to the reader, you know, the reader just finding out as you go along, but also not like saving them with information is what it feels like. Because the characters were never surprised by things, but we, the reader, were like, oh, okay, there's this new kind of magic, or there's this new kind of thing that's what they're dealing with here that we didn't know about before until this very moment that it would be needed. Like, you know? What a face. Okay, so I'm actually editing this right now, and I realized I didn't say that one of my big things about this book was actually it's so nonstop action. There's hardly any time for the characters to think, and not that I want characters to mope around, but it never felt like we had a chance to breathe, which is why I likened it to Indiana Jones, or another kind of like popcorn action flick that's really fun and like the characters are really great. I think there was a single moment in the last like 150 pages where we had 4 pages, Sophia like thinking back on her own actions and what she'd done. And that was it. So anyways, I'm not even saying that it wasn't paced right. It's just that it is so nonstop. So that's something that if you're really into it, I think you'll really like it. But if you want a little bit more reflection on the character's part, or if you enjoy having moments where you can breathe and whatever, I would argue that this was not the book for you, actually. That stood out to me so much. So, okay, take you back. What's the other thing? Love Polly. Colin did die. I'm actually surprised that they saved the aunt Evrain, but I'm excited to see where that goes in the next book. I'm genuinely excited to see where the prophecy goes. I think I'm just excited to see Aduin again, because even though once again the back of the book tries to sell him as like the bad guy, he's not the bad guy at all. At no point am I convinced that he's the bad guy either. Like, the girls are scared at a certain point. They are running from the Blood Witch, but also we see enough of his mind, we see enough of a lot of people's minds that I can see how vast things are, and like, he's not the big bad here, you know? I'm excited to see that he might be a little bit more bad as we learn more about the father figure that just came back into his life or whatever, but he's not gonna be the bad guy. In fact, I would be so surprised if that's where his character arc led to. I do like that we brought back up Sophie and Merrick and where she was touching his chest and it was just to put her own little version of the contract. That was good. I think the characters stayed true to themselves while also like growing, or at least showing more potential for growth in the rest of the series. Like, I don't know that Isolde is that different than she was at the start of the book, but obviously a lot has happened to her that I think it'll be really fun to watch her in the next ones. Sophie grew more of the 2 girls. I appreciated Merrick's journey. Yeah, I'm really excited to see where all of this goes. Please do comment down below. Let me know what you thought of Truthwitch. Let me know if you've read anything else by Susan Dennard. Ooh. Also comment down below and let me know, what do you think? Is there a perfect balance between having this vast, completely other world and like magical systems being set up? I just, as a writer, I really don't know where that line is. All I know is when I feel it as a reader, if it's not done right. And I think that's the hard part, is that it feels so often not done right that I really, as a writer, I'm confused too. How do you introduce the information you need to before it becomes relevant without it feeling like an info dump? Maybe there's just a better blend. I don't know. I'm gonna be thinking this over for a while. I will also leave the link down below to our Authortube chat. I think we're going to be talking about like mid-year goals and reevaluating 2020. Oof. And we're gonna be talking about this book. So I hope you'll be able to join us. That will be over on Jessica's channel. And thank you guys so much for watching, and thank you especially to some of my new patrons this month, aka Nightmares writer Trisha Carr, Yuri Gibson, Chris Ann, and B Rose, and I will see you all very soon with the new video. Bye. While Isolde hold in. Isolde hold in. Isolde.